Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Ross Johnston. The Titans are back on the practice field today as they prepare for their Week 2 home opener against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday at noon. Quarterback Cam Ward is set to speak at 2:25, and you can listen to it here on The Zone. The NFL also released their Week 1 Players of the Week, and they are as follows. In the NFC, Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, Rams linebacker Nate Landman, and Bucs punt returner Cam Johnson. In the AFC, Bills quarterback Josh Allen, Jaguars linebacker Foyesade Oluokun, and Steelers kicker Chris Boswell. In more NFL news, the Green Bay Packers paid wide receiver Christian Watson, despite him going through rehab for a torn ACL, and signed him to a one-year, $13.25 million extension. Also, former Titans edge rusher Jadeveon Clowney is visiting with the Dallas Cowboys today, per Josina Anderson, and may be expected to sign shortly. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. 615-737-1045 is the number. The head coach of the Tennessee Titans spoke today. We'll talk about that. We got a couple of things to talk about between, the defense, the pressure, sacks. I want to pick Blaine's head on what's the best way to maybe measure that and talk about that. We also have Chase Elliott, I think for real this time at 1:45 today, because we didn't see him last time he said he was going to come, but he was going to call in today at 1:45.
There was a conflict on the timing.
A little bit of a conflict.
Where they were, yeah.
And, of course, we got your mailbag, our first mailbag episode. We got plenty of questions. Ross is going to read them to us. That's coming up at the next segment. Also, feel free to put them up in the F&M Bank chat, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, and maybe, just maybe, at 2:25 p.m. today, Cam Ward will arrive at the podium on time and the Titans stream
at 2:25?
2:25 p.m. We'll see. Well, you know what that means. Once 3HL's on the air, that's what it will be.
Guarantee.
But we got plenty to talk about today. I do want to start with everything that Brian Callahan had to say today, because they've asked him about the Rams, asked him about the offensive line, about Cam Ward, and
his relationship with Stafford.
All kinds of stuff. And I think there's a good discussion on Matt Stafford, by the way, as well, because a lot of people love to throw that word elite around. And I feel like I don't know if we've had this conversation before about Matt Stafford, me and you, on the radio, but I think that Matt Stafford is a good discussion about elite and what it means in the NFL. But let's start with what Brian Callahan had to say. And this is Brian Callahan on what challenges do the Rams bring in Week 2.
Looking forward to this weekend's matchup against the Rams. Really good football team. They played really well last year, deep into the playoffs. Good defense, good offense, solid special teams unit. I think the edge players on defense are really, really good players. Those guys have anchored that defense. They play with great effort on defense. They're pretty relentless in terms of their pursuit and their rush and how they play. They play really well together. They do a great job with their coverage structure and the looks and the holding disguises and all those things. So it's a good test for us. Offensively, obviously, I think Matthew Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks in football. He's played at a high level for a really long time. We got a really nice challenge there with them. They're really good at running the football. They're committed to it. They do a great job marrying their play-action game off of it. They put people in some pretty good conflict when it comes to those things. So we got to be on top of it. We got to play really good defense. We got to tackle well, stop the run. Those are critical components to this game. And then when we have chances to match up, they got two really good receivers and a group of guys that complement them in the passing game. So good football team all the way around. You can tell they're a playoff caliber football team, and it's another one here in the first 2 weeks we got to go handle. And looking forward to being back at home, being in front of our fans, playing here at Nissan Stadium. I think it'll be a great environment, and I think it's supposed to be pretty hot too, so that'll be fun.
Supposed to be 95 degrees on
Is
Sunday.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, my.
False Fall's over. False Fall
Dang, I
lasted
thought
a little while, but it's 95 degrees.
Oh, man. I got one pair of shorts I left out, so I'm hanging on. I still have a pair.
Like that kind of weather, that you just wear a tank top to the stadium.
I gotta love it. Oh man, I
Y'all
could
gonna be
just wear
outside, too.
shorts
Yeah.
all the time, man. That's like California weather. Then it comes to 95. Woo, man,
Yeah.
that's great.
I mean, obviously, all that stuff is pretty common, right? Everything that he said. Matt Stafford, you got Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. The way that Sean McVay sets up plays later on down the road, elite play caller.
Didn't both of them go and leave the game? Last
Now
game?
Puka did. I don't know if Devontae
Remember, I
Adams
told you, I
did.
knew Puka got hurt because
Yeah.
I want him to be hurt this game.
Yeah.
I don't want him out there.
And listen, I will say this: Stoney this morning.
Just take a break on this one.
Stoney this morning sent me a text message in
What did he say?
preparation for football and other efforts. He was watching the
What did he say?
Texans versus Rams. Well, I can't use the exact wording,
Oh.
but he says final score won't show it. But Sean McVay absolutely ate D'Amico Ryan's lunch in offense versus defense and out schemed him and everything. And he said the box score won't show it, but you could watch it and you could see it. And I said in reply, I said, think about it like this as well. Stafford has barely practiced as well. So he's just getting into a rhythm that game.
Yeah, that is true.
Now, two interior offensive linemen are week to week.
Right, the guards, right?
Yeah, the guards. So that's a good thing for the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh, Big Sweat
Big
and
Sweat and Jeff,
Simmons?
because Big Sweat needs to be getting involved a little bit more.
Big
because
Sweat needs to be sweating.
yeah,
He
for
needs to
sure.
be right now. Yeah, says he's set
Yeah.
out like a little while.
But there's probably no better, in my opinion, probably no better play caller than Sean McVay out there. And I'm real interested to see how Denard Wilson, who I thought called a really great game as a defensive coordinator this last Sunday, he had Bo Nix and kind of confused at least buying his defense time to try to get to Bo Nix, which is something that we didn't get to see all the time. But, with attacking Matt Stafford is different than attacking Bo Nix.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. Bo Nix, as I said before, he's a really good athlete. He actually ran more than I thought he would, but boy, he makes me a little nervous when you watch him. It's being, the secondary because you can only cover guys so long. Stafford's kind of more X marks the spot. He's going to be, he's a drop back passer. He knows how to navigate, has great feel for pocket, big arm, can make every throw. I'm interested to see if he's going to make that no look throw, though.
Yeah.
He's done this numerous times against teams, and I found him fascinating because it's not like it's a short pass either. Man, he is actually throwing. That shows you guys are throwing to spots, so he just, he knows his follow through and the accuracy and all that. So, I think the way to get after him is you just got to get pressure up in his face all day long, and then he kind of
up the middle, right? Kind of like a little bit like Tom Brady. You always want to pressure Tom Brady.
He's
up
a
the
better
middle.
athlete than Tom, but that bothers him. And you got to hit him even when he doesn't have the ball. There you got in between the lines, Big Jeff. All right, you got to hit him. I think he doesn't miss games, but he's every time in training camp, at least I can remember last 2 or 3 of them, he hadn't practiced. So as you said, he's just now getting rhythm. Hopefully, we can get him off rhythm with that. But
especially with 2 guards down, like this is setting up to be
Shanahan. They're the top 2. Yeah, he's probably the best. But what I love is he can get rattled, and here's how I would do. It's not even about the plan. I'm going to let the coaches do the planning. But what I will have is every quarter, it's going to be a different plan. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I would approach him. Because, see, what happens is, when I was watching the game before and I saw, Sean Payton with that big old Cracker Barrel menu on the sideline, I go, so when he does his 15 plays, he's just seeing the groupings of how we're going to dress those formations and that personnel. I said, well, here's what I would do if I'm on defense. Then I would come back and then I would, run different things in the second quarter than I did in the first quarter.
You even said that in the pregame show.
Yeah. So I would kind of go like these guys are really elite. You got to throw them off a little bit, and then it's just hard. These guys are really good, as you mentioned. McVay, Shanahan, those guys are at the top. Their running games are elite. But I remember us playing. Was that the Chargers or the Rams where Jeff had 3 sacks in the first?
That was the Rams.
half?
That was a primetime game against the Rams.
Yeah, it was because I was watching.
2022?
That's how we got a dominant. Because then Byard got a pick on the flat
21.
route.
21.
Yeah, flat route. He got a pick. It was just cover 3. Came down, dude. But it was Matthew Stafford, and it was because they was banging him. And he had some injuries to some linemen, and that's how we got after him, and it made it a different game. Titans dominated that game.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what they're going to have to do, which any quarterback, but these elite guys who are pocket passers, man, you got to make them feel it. What is he, 40 yet? No, 39?
Yeah, he's not 40 yet,
37 or something. But yeah, he's up there, but man, he is an elite thrower in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you say that elite arm talent, or do you mean he's an elite quarterback?
I said he's elite arm talent.
Yeah.
He can make every throw.
Because I would agree with that.
I remember him at Georgia. He kind of disappointed me because he kind of choked up a little bit in the SEC championship, so I didn't know how his career would go. But he has all the tools.
Matt Stafford's only 37.
37, yeah. So I guess because he's always kind of nicked up and injured, there's always talk about him. The question's going to be, he's got one Super Bowl ring. Is he a Hall of Famer? That's the question.
Yeah.
It's the only, because he's thrown for all those yards and all that, even with Detroit, and he could never get over the snide, winning a playoff game, I think.
Because to be honest, he's better than Eli Manning, but he's never been the best quarterback of his generation or of a particular season. Now, he's been a really good quarterback, talking about Matt Stafford, same as Eli Manning. But like Eli has 2 Super Bowls, and there's people out there that are like, oh, he'll never get into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And so that makes me think, okay, Matt Stafford probably is not going to get in the Hall of Fame. But people may view Matt Stafford's talent, his arm talent, which it is elite, and put that little extra oomph into it for him.
Yeah. To be guys like that, Matthew Stafford's going to have, a boatload of yardage that he's thrown for. He's got to be. Is he top 20 already? He has to be up there. And so I think him and Eli, I know Eli has 2. I think Eli was clutch in clutch situations because those seasons that they won the ring, you thought, man, they were done. I think they were 9-7 during the regular season. So I think they have to get in there, just not first ballot. I really believe Stafford is a Hall of Famer, and I really believe Eli is. And as well as, and I'm going to put him in the same boat, Phillip Rivers. Never won a championship, never was in one. And those guys were elite in their
10th in passing yards right now.
10th. That's
career passing yards, he's 10th.
Yeah, Stafford. I tell you,
so he's going to
there.
be getting up there.
Yeah.
10th in career passing touchdowns, and 9th in career pass attempts. So
yeah, he threw a lot. So I just think when you're in the top 10 of pretty much any category, you got to start saying, okay, is he a Hall of Fame level player? And then if he is, then is he first ballot, second ballot, third ballot? And I think all 3 of those guys will get in.
To me, you don't have to be passing yards per game if you want to go into a per game. So 6.
Some of those guys will be nominating him or talking about him. They'll be talking about that. So I think he still's got some juice. But you want to take that juice when you got a wily vet like that. Take it out of him early. You got to get some hits on him. I really believe that. Even if he ain't got the ball, you got to hit him. Hit him.
How many times have we seen, now I'm not just talking about Denard Wilson's defense, I'm talking about the Tennessee Titans defense not take advantage of bad offensive lines. Because you're going to get...
Bengals game.
That Bengals game.
Yeah.
Oh man, they had like a whole new offensive line. And they could not take advantage of it.
4 years ago?
Yeah. And they could not take advantage of it. And we've seen them not be able to take advantage of a lot of different injuries. How about backup quarterbacks, right? We've seen them not be able to take advantage of backup quarterbacks. Now, Denard Wilson is a different coordinator than what we're talking about with Shane Bowen and talking about with Mike Vrabel and even further back. But you got to see it, right? Like, this is very much a team right now that see it to believe it. And I look at, because I want to view Brian Callahan kind of how we started viewing Will Levis last year, is that one game isn't going to change our mind. We have 18 games to look at. One good game against the Rams shouldn't change our minds wildly in the other direction that he suddenly figured everything out.
Oh, well, the fans will feel that way.
Well, the fans will feel that way. But in one game, you shouldn't wildly swing that way. And Ross.
No.
So he needs to string consistent games. And Denard Wilson needs to string consistent games. Inconsistency has plagued this Titans regime.
Well, I would say the players as well.
Yeah, players as well.
Because that's what showed up. Like, all those penalties and, just in critical moments, not making plays or getting penalties at times that you can't. Like the Big Jeff or the sack, you can't go backwards. Just those little plays when you don't have a big margin for error, you can't have them.
Yeah.
You just can't have them. And so I hope they get there sooner than later. But for whatever reason, I don't believe that that's going to happen until probably like week 4, 5, 6. I think this team is still trying to learn each other and what they can and can't do on the field with your quarterback. I think defensively, they know what they can and can't do. I thought that was a great game plan. And by the way, they play above their talent. And Snead helped out a lot. I know he didn't play in the second half, so I'm interested to see how that all works. But my biggest concern is J.C. Latham, as I said on Monday.
And nobody asked about J.C. Latham today at the press conference.
Man, I went back and watched more. Now, here's what I'm going to say about this.
Yeah.
I said he played, a 50 F, which is an F.
Yeah.
Is a higher than a 27 F, which is horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't happy, but I thought, okay, we can get by. Remember, against elite pass rushers, he's not that good.
And they're going to get that test this week.
Oh, my.
You know, that's the thing is like what you saw in Denver as far as the quality of the offensive line versus the quality of the defensive line, it's almost the same thing.
But there's a big part of me because they gave Moore Jr. that money.
Yeah.
He got to rise.
He
got to rise against these elite dudes, man. Yep. You get elite money, you got to play that. I don't care what your history said. We gave it to you. Yep. I expect more.
I do. I expect more from Moore.
Yeah. Good winning. We'll go to break on that.
Yeah, there you go. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone.
That's what's up. One of the marks of a good parent, they warn their kids about danger, who to trust and what to avoid and how to make smarter choices. Hey folks, it's Blaine Bishop for Eurofix. And Eurofix repairs European vehicles, and Eurofix believes in warning their customers too. In one case, Eurofix wrote a $5,500 refund check to a customer. Who does that besides Eurofix? Because they police themselves. Why? Because not every auto shop tells you the full story. Some oversell, others cut corners. Some just may not want to do anything. So you could pay for something you don't need. And Eurofix makes quality repairs at below dealer pricing and has been doing this since 1999. And you also get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection and a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all the work at Eurofix that they perform. And rental cars are available with every appointment. So stay on top of it on the road and not on the tow truck because Eurofix makes sure you don't. Family owned locally for over a quarter century. 5 locations, all located in the state of Tennessee. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX or online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Stores. 615-737-1045 is the number. We're doing our weekly mailbag new segment here. And we're thinking about calling it Cover 2 for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just came up with that.
We came up with that. What do we think about that? Ross, you're laughing. You must not like it.
Judge. Cover 2 for you. He don't like it.
It's perfectly fine.
All right. Cover 2 for you.
He don't like it?
He doesn't really like it. So we're going to go to the tweets first. But if you want to get in and ask us any question, listen, we got a food question in these tweets. We're doing food, dating advice, life advice, football, whatever you want to ask us, you can ask us.
Yep. Yeah, you can ask Zach.
Yeah,
I'll help you with football.
615-737-1045. And we also got a few questions in the F&M Bank chat. But Ross, start us off.
All right, first one up. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Kareem Labib. Does Cam need to adjust his touch on the ball? I feel like you and Blaine disagreed on that yesterday. Curious to hear more. Too much heat? ?
I think what we were really talking about in that conversation was that Cam's going to adjust that ball. He knows that he may need to adjust that ball. But I think we both were okay with the decision to make it, is how I would view it.
Yeah. I just thought they haven't played in a live game, and he had to thread the needle. I'm thinking of the Ridley, and it was another one. I want to say it was to Chig, but he put so much heat on that thing. It was just like he thought he had to press to get it in there because somebody was going to be closing in on the receiver. So I had no problem with that. I just think he'll learn that it doesn't have to be quite that hard like that. So, and he'll learn that on the way.
Yeah.
And the receiver will help himself out, too, to have a better shot at catching it and, protecting themselves.
Well, you hear about rookies all the time having to figure out the layering in their throws or the speed they have to use on certain things. Not everything has to be a fastball. It's like, I don't really have a problem with it. It's just that I recognize it's a rookie growing pain.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes. Like Brett Favre, when he first got in the league, he was he was ripping every throw. He was messing guys' fingers up. They were looking like my fingers. So it was, his own guys. So even if you were close, bang. So he had to learn it too along the way. He wouldn't have turned into who he was. So I think he has great touch. I just think there was a couple plays where he thought he had the needle in there, and I don't think him and the receiver were on the same page.
Yeah.
To be honest, I can't really blame him. I'm just blaming him because he was the guy that had control.
Right.
He had the ball, and he could have made a difference, hopefully, in trying to get a completion, help his guys out.
There you go.
Daniel Mode. What exactly does Nick Holtz contribute to the offense? My understanding is that it's his role to install the offense and game plan and prepare the players. They looked completely lost and confused. Why isn't he getting blamed? Could we replace him with McCoy?
Nick Holtz is interesting because I don't really know what his full stuff entails.
Is he up in the booth, right?
Yeah, I think he is up in the booth. And so he's not calling the plays. But yes, when you watch practice, you see him because you see Callahan now starting to float more. Mm-hmm. You see him mainly directing the offense, getting them prepared. And they looked prepared in practice. They looked prepared
or is
in
he
the
on
preseason.
the sidelines?
No, I think he's up in the booth.
Quarterback coach is on the sideline?
Yeah, quarterback coach on the sideline. I know Bo Hardegre is definitely on the sidelines.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I know that he is at least doing his job. But I get what Daniel Caribbean is saying is that why are these guys continuing to not look like they know what they're doing? I don't know. I can't really answer that. I don't know if that's a Nick Holtz thing, Brian Callahan thing, or a player thing. It's really hard to decide, at least from my vantage point. You've been in a locker room. You played for coordinators and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if you have better insight.
Well, I would say this, when you're not the guy who's calling the plays, but you're the one installing it with the quarterback, and you're spending more time with him than the actual head coach, he's the placeholder. So he's the guy that communicates and understands what they've kind of discussed outside of maybe face-to-face with Callahan. Yeah. And I'm sure those conversations are still happening too.
Right.
But nothing like having your coach to lean into what we discussed earlier in the week or on a certain day and then on certain plays and then during the game. So you probably filter that conversation down to the coordinator. That's really, I think that's all his role is at this point in time. I remember me and you discussed during the preseason would Callahan kind of relinquish a little bit, at least in preseason. And I thought it was a real difficult decision to make that decision to let the OC call plays during the preseason because he had a new toy. The new toy was Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to call plays with him because what ultimately happens is most of these coaches, have a coordinator that way is the blame guy. I call it this. This is just dumbing it down. The blame guy. So when something goes wrong, then it's never on him. So then you can replace those guys. So right now, everything is on his plate because he is actually the play caller and head coach. So there's no, it was the offensive coordinator who was calling. He wasn't calling play. Now, he may have input on something during the game. I don't know as far as, I don't think he's calling plays, though.
No,
I think
he may be designing plays or be in charge of certain
throughout
installs.
The week, and then maybe tell them about some adjustments up top that what they're doing on defense and those things. But I think everything's on Callahan.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'd land right now is that it's the buck stops with Brian Callahan. It doesn't matter that the guy Rob Ryder or whatever his last name is, the game management guy, got the play wrong. It's Brian Callahan who hired that guy who got the play wrong, but it's also Brian Callahan for also not knowing the play. Like, it's hard for me to at the end of the day, certain decisions, play calling, the buck stops with the head coach.
Yeah.
And are you calling plays? Are you calling plays that that your players know? Because if there's missed assignments and you're calling plays, maybe you're not practicing that enough. And essentially, Nick Holtz is the extension of Brian Callahan, right? So what he's doing what Brian Callahan has told him to do and has given him to do. He's not going rogue and coming up and being responsible solely for coming up with his own practice schedule and everything.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you this, Adam. There's one thing, if I was coaching right now, there's no way I can't stand for guys not knowing the plays. Oh, I'd throw my headset.
You saw what Aaron Glenn did.
Yeah, that there is a you problem.
Yep.
And the game is already hard enough. So if you can't do that, man, I would be lit on that.
And I think that there are certain players on this team that they better be lucky that this isn't a deep roster.
Yeah,
because if this is a deep roster and you were messing up, like you'd be pulled. Like if Dan Moore's probably a little lucky, that he didn't have a left tackle behind him because that's worthy of starting. Because that's what I'm saying. Because I saw someone in here said,
we're
JB,
not wrong with this Moore Jr. signing, man.
We would technically be right. The Titans would be wrong.
I mean, they had no choice in their eyes. They missed out on who they wanted, and then I think they probably panicked a little bit. But someone said they can get out of this contract with him after this year, only counting $13 million or $12 million.
I will double check that, but it was a very team-friendly contract.
So I can't remember what the deal was, how they could get out of it after 1 year. But I was trying to buy you some time so you could look it up. But I thought that was the case. Or maybe it was 2 years.
But someone asked if Ridley keeps dropping passes, will they bench him? And I'm like, well, who for? This isn't a team that you have someone that can be even a wide receiver too right from the get-go as Calvin Ridley's caliber. You just have to live with the drops for now because of how this roster's built.
I'm going to ask that person, would your boss remove you after you messed up 2 times doing your job?
Yeah, there you go.
No, I'm just asking
I
a general
agree.
question.
I think that's a fair question.
Right, because here's what happens. That's why I say it's just like a real job, except we're just on TV and we're entertaining.
Yeah.
Right? At the same time, you have to show support. Now, there's a breaking line.
Right.
At some point, and naturally, the better players get longer leashes because there's also plays they're making that nobody else can make. Right. So you don't want to come in there and be like, hey, man, we're going to bench you, or come in here with this threatening way about yourself about, hey, we're going to bench you if this happens again. You think they saying that to the Dallas receiver, CD Lamb? He dropped a lot.
Yeah.
He one of the highest paid receivers in the NFL.
Yep.
He top 3 paid. So guess what? His butt was out there catching balls that night whenever they got back in that morning off the jugs machine. So I think you got to teeter the line a little bit depending on who the player is, but you also have to support them because guess what? You must not forget in the NFL, the guy who's the backup is the reason why he's the backup. You don't have other options.
Yep.
That's going to be better than that one. So you got to take that with a grain of salt when you're up there talking to these guys and talking about switching. Build them up. Keep building them up. Hey, we got your back, hey, man, but we can't have that very long. Let's go now. We got to go. We got to go. Hey, me and you got a lot at stake here, don't we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We do. See? And that's how you got to talk. These guys are grown men. They out here, they know it's a business. And they're getting paid that kind of money. So that's how I would approach it. I wouldn't be threatening, not for no high-tier type player. No.
I will also say after this year, they can cut Dan Moore. They will carry $12.5 million in dead cap, and they will save $13.8 million.
13 they would save. See, so they can get out.
And now here's the thing, though. They have to do that before the 5th league day of 2026. So after
March
free agency opens. So free agency opens on the start of the league year. So 5 days, after it opens, they have 5 days to make that release. If not, he will get $7.5 million guaranteed, and all that those numbers change.
Yeah. But they got it now, and he gets the buy-in to get the $7 million. Okay, I like that. So that'll be like in March or whenever free agency.
Yeah, but
that's fair to him
typically lead it
them.
into March 14th, March 17th that week.
No doubt. Yeah. Yep. So we can't see any more of those kind of.
And then they'll be in the market for a left tackle again. For the 5th year in a row since Taylor Lewan is retired.
Just sick, man. We can't even find a left tackle.
We can't even buy a left tackle.
And then now the right one, my favorite, is hurt now.
And we don't even know anything about that. Let's go to Tommy real quick and wants to talk about play calling. Tommy, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Thanks, guys. I just find it hard to blame a lot of things on the coach when the head dog at ESPN says, hey, I watched the game, and if the receivers had caught those 8 drop passes, the Titans would have won. So I don't think it's the play calling. I mean, these are the same issues we had last year. It's bad.
Right. And who's still there? You just said it. Who's still there? The same things are happening, but the same guy is still calling the plays. So eventually it gets to that in pro sports. Nothing against them. I like them. And the players got to execute. But I don't know about no 8 balls to drop. I would say about 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think Orlovsky was a little loose with that.
Yeah, he was looking at it from the quarterback's lens.
But we had drop balls last year. Our tight end, he has way too many drop balls.
Yeah.
And, the coach can't catch the balls. And I'm not taking up totally for his play calling. I'm just saying those drop balls, kill drives. And,
absolutely. I agree. They got to catch them. They got to catch them and they got to throw them better. Yeah,
I agree.
It's not all on the coach. I don't know.
Thanks.
Maybe he got misconstrued on what we were talking about there. But, yeah, I'm not blaming the coach. The players, ultimately, I'm real big on when the players get out there, this is our team. The coaches are on the sideline. Now we're out here. We can take control. This is our team. And then, playing within the scheme of what they've asked us to do, you need to take ownership in that and make plays. Dropping plays and running the wrong plays, oh, my gosh. Ask guys who play with me if they ran the wrong play. And at practice, boy, I would get lit.
Well,
and
it makes you wonder if that's happening.
And then
practice.
I wouldn't say nothing to the player.
Yeah.
We would say, we're running this again. The coaches look at me and start laughing. And then we run it again. And then we run it again until I get lit up. And I go, do you understand that we ran this play 4 times because you did the wrong assignment? No, Brother B. No, this ain't no Brother B. This ain't no Brother B. This is about executing the right play. Because that was his response. Do you know you're supposed to drop right here on this play? Like that, I can't, man, the game is hard. For somebody to run a wrong screenplay backed up, they would have heard it from me on the sideline.
Yeah.
Sorry. Even if it's my best player. I may approach them a little bit different, but I would say, hey, we cannot have that. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I'd walk away.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Russ, do you have something?
I was just going to say, and I think all the shows have kind of touched on this and said it this week, but like the whole thing with Callahan is we can all watch the game and see he wasn't the only problem, but the main thing is he can't afford to be part of the problem for this team. We're too young of a team in these tight games. We can't have the head coach,
well said.
We can't be going against the head coach or having that going against us
in critical moments.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's the thing. It's the feel for the game, the football instincts of a play caller versus the plays that you called that didn't work, right? Because that falls on execution.
Right.
But if you're calling 3 straight pass plays when you're backed up into next to your own end zone, well, that's on the coach. Those The players need to execute those plays regardless of if they're
That
bad
screen
play
would have
calls.
worked, though.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It still needs to work.
I didn't like the play call,
Right.
but it would have worked.
It would have worked, but still, you have other choices, and I think that's where it comes down with Brian Callahan. He's not able to make the correct choices in the correct time, and that's something that we saw last year as well. Let's go to Luke, who wants to talk about touch on throws. Luke, you're on Blaine and Zach.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I did want to mention that, but I did just want to comment quick. I think there's plenty of blame to go around. Obviously, the end of the first half calls, but also, when they got the muffed punt recovery on the 24, just run the ball. At that time, it was the fourth quarter, deep into it. It was obvious that you couldn't just pass and carve up on this team, especially almost in the red zone when it's even tighter. So, I feel like they kind of put Cam in a bad position. He tried to run out of the back of the pocket, and, 2 big sacks. You're at a field goal range where you could have just ran the ball, kicked the field goal, and taken the lead in the fourth. But anyway, my question is, around that time or the series after, when, Cam is having to make a lot of those throws and the drop passes or whatever, my friend texted me, he said he's got to take the heat off the ball. And I was thinking, some of those should have been caught. One of them, Ridley, was a few inches high and super fast. But I said, he doesn't have time to put touch on it. And I wanted to see, I don't know if that's true or not, so that's why I called. I want to ask you guys, and I know, Blaine, you're on the other side of the ball, but the point of pressure is to make a quarterback make mistakes. So when he's got dudes bearing down on him within 2 seconds and he's having to heave the ball out, can he put touch on it? Is that something that he needs to work on, or could he? At the end of the day, most of those passes should have been caught, but I want to see what you think, Blaine. And I'll hang up and listen. Love the show, guys. Thanks.
There you go.
Well, I think it's a tough call, man, when you got somebody breathing down your throat and, the receiver's not ready and you got to throw it sooner, so you're thrown to a spot and then you're just trying to zip it in there because they're playing free high right in the middle of the field. I didn't have a problem with how much he puts his zip on there. I just felt like the receiver didn't bend in fast enough to give himself an opportunity to catch it and then duck. That's what I was more worried about. But it was one of those plays, bang, bang. Next time maybe he'll do a little less. But if he didn't throw it fast, the
that's what I was about to ask you, because
that's
if you
why
throw
I said
it,
the receiver didn't understand it. He had to get there and put his body in between there to make it.
It's like Cam Ward knew what the throw he had to make, but the receiver didn't know the catch he had to make.
Yep.
Because I was just about to ask you exactly what your answer is like. But if he threw it a little bit loftier and threw it a little bit with a little bit less touch, or with more touch,
time, it might have been a pick or
may have been an interception, or the receiver may have overshot it, and then he's trying to make a grab behind him. Yeah. And then we're having a totally different conversation about this. So I think we just nailed it on the head.
I felt like he was doing the veteran move. Yeah. And they hadn't played in the league at all.
Well, Brian Callahan did talk about how Cam Ward is pretty much got full control of the offense right now. So we'll talk more about that later on the show. We'll also continue getting to your Twitter questions coming up at the 2 o'clock hour. But first, we got Chase Elliott coming up next. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
You might not know this, but there's an auto repair company that pays its mechanics more than the repair shops know around this area. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop for Eurofix. And why would Eurofix do that? A decent technician can make 50 to 60 grand a year. And a good technician that's pretty fast can make up to $120,000 a year. And, well, really, That's a fast technician who's really, really good, can make even more than that, maybe up to $180,000 a year. And for a mechanic, man, unbelievable. Can you believe that? Wow. That a lot of people look down on mechanics, and they shouldn't. Local owner Aaron Stokes is an ex-mechanic. And mechanics are what make the world go round. And everything out there has to be working at the same level, right? So did you know that Eurofix is not open on the weekends? Why? Because Eurofix want the kids and moms and dads employees to have weekends together and not apart. Bonding time, family time. And Aaron Stokes figured out a long time ago, if home life is unhappy, work life will be unhappy. We all know that. Happy wife, happy life. So that's why Eurofix is open Monday through Friday. And European vehicles fixed at below dealer pricing. 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repairs Eurofix performs. 5 locations. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. Or you can visit them online at myeurofix.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. And we're going straight to the phone lines to the Chevrolet number 9 car driver, Chase Elliott. And Chase, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, no doubt.
You delivered a strong third-place finish at the Gateway WWT Raceway, boosting your cushion to 28 points in the top 16. How did that performance set the tone heading into Bristol this weekend, and what lessons from that race are shaping your playoff strategy now?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a really solid weekend for us, I felt like, certainly on Sunday. Saturday wasn't spectacular, but Sunday was a really good effort. I thought one of our better runs here in a while. We've kind of had for one reason or another, kind of had a bad month or so, just in a lot of different ways. But I thought there was some good stuff on Sunday. Really respectable pace, to the competition. Thought we were really close, in a lot of regards. So, love Bristol. Love this race, man. This is one of, if not the coolest races of the year. And, I think it's really cool that we have this race in the playoffs now. I feel like it fits. And, to have the Southern 500 at Darlington and then the Bristol night race in this first round is pretty neat. So, I'm looking forward to going. I hope that, I think good runs are always good, and I think that they can carry some momentum week to week. I've experienced that at different times in my career, but, the reality of last week to this week is the racetracks are just totally different. Not a lot to take from a car standpoint from Gateway to Bristol, but I just thought the way that we executed on Sunday and all those small little details are certainly relevant every week, and no reason why we can't try and get some of that stuff back out this weekend on Saturday night.
With the Bristol Motor Speedway race this weekend, it's a night race. What are some of the challenges that come with it being a night race specifically compared to your normal daytime races?
Yeah, I can't say it's a ton different from inside the car, other than the tracks typically gain grip when the sun goes down, and the surface temperature of the concrete, in that case, cools off. It's gonna grip up, and you're gonna feel that inside the car, and you'll certainly see that on the stopwatch. I think the pace always gets faster during that race. Bristol is one of those places, though, whether the sun's out or the lights are on, the racetrack does go through a really big transition, and it's interesting. Like the time that we spend not going to the racetrack throughout the year, and it rains, it kind of washes all of the rubber off of the surface. So when we get back up there, and this weekend, all 3 series are racing, so I feel like the transition happens a little quicker, but you kind of have to put the rubber back down on the racetrack, and the top of the top lane of Bristol is certainly the dominant groove. Momentum ends up kind of becoming king by the end of the race, but you can't really start there. You have to kind of work your way up there throughout the weekend, and usually by quarter of the way, halfway through our race, we're all the way up to the wall. But on Saturday morning, when we're practicing, or Friday, we'll be around the bottom, and you kind of have to be prepared for that transition in the race. But it's a super fun racetrack to drive, and a place that you really get a pretty strong sensation of speed when you're behind the wheel.
Chase, you started at position of 19 in this last race last weekend, and you ended up at third. Talk about, the strategy and the determination to get in that top 3 finish from starting so far back in the pack.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things when you have poor qualifying efforts, which we tend to have. It's one of those deals where you're not going to get it all quick, and it's really just kind of takes a little bit of a grinding it out mentality and just chipping away at it throughout the day. And everybody's so close. Most of the time nowadays, it's just harder and harder to find advantages, you know. So it's, can you figure out how to get a spot or two on this restart? Can we gain a spot in the pits? And can you pick one or two off throughout a green flag run? It's not, hey, let's get 5 here and, you know, 6 or 7 here. It doesn't work like that. So it takes and can take a lot of the race to claw your way up into that top handful. But, you know, fortunately, I thought we executed a really good day on pit road, had really, really good stops. Thought I had some good, you know, restarts on track, and fortunately our pace was good, you know, over the course of the long run too. So kind of had all 3 of those things working, and you know, didn't never got to the lead or never got into a position to control and pace the race. But you know, I do think that it was just a good all around effort.
We're talking to NASCAR Chevrolet number 9 car, Chase Elliott.
Well, Chase, man, you've had some success. I think you've had at least 4 or 5 top 5 finishes there at Bristol. You would say, man, is this one of your favorite tracks? And if it is, why do you have so much success there? Man, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good track for us. You know, throughout my career, we never won a points race there. I feel like we finished second a few times, but I won the All-Star race there a number of years ago. A lot's changed since then, but, you know, it's just a place I enjoy going to, you know, as I've gotten older and been doing this stuff for, you know, a longer period of time. You kind of find different reasons to like going to different racetracks. And, you know, I enjoy being up there. It's a really, really nice part of the country. You know, and especially this time of year during the fall, just, you know, is a good place to be. I feel like we always battle rain up there, but man, when it's not raining, it's really nice. So it's a great atmosphere, great environment. You know, I feel like the fans have a great opportunity at Bristol to get close to what we're doing, and kind of really the only racetrack that we go to that you ever get that sensation of kind of being in a stadium. And that's pretty cool for us, you know, just a little bit of a different vibe. So, you know, typically the energy level's up. You know, the drivers can feel that. The team members can feel that. And I think the fans are a large reason that the energy level is always so good during this event. So hope the weather looks good. Hope we have a good crowd, you know, and certainly hope we go fast too.
NASCAR driver Chase Elliott. And Chase, you know, Bristol track is known for kind of some intense racing and close competitions. How do you manage, and I love this strategy side of it, the physical and the mental when you're actually racing, and how much do you have to adapt as the race goes on, as your car is telling you and your tires are telling you what to do?
Yeah, you said it. I mean, it's just, you know, listening and listening to those different feels that you have in the seat and with your hands and your feet too. You know, all those things are all working together at different times throughout the race, and everything's all connected, you know, in that sense. So just, you know, throughout the event, obviously you're trying to push pace and you're trying to go, you know, ride as close to that, you know, edge of grip that you can live on. And try to stay mistake free, and it can be a tough thing. You know, 500 laps around that place is a lot, and you know, the banking being so steep, you know, the pace is really high, and the intensity is up. You know, heart rate's up, and you know, putting your car in the right place on the road could be the difference in you being a tenth or two faster on that lap or a tenth or two slower. And, you know, so being really precise with your inputs and listening to what the car is telling you and trying to stay ahead of adjustments throughout the night. Like I said, you know, a few minutes ago, the track's going to transition up the road throughout the night. And you just got to try to stay in front of all those things and be on the front side of it, because typically we have a limited number of pit stops at that race. You know, the tire advantage has most of the time that we have been has been very small. So most of the time up there, you're just trying to get yourself into a fuel window to make it throughout the race, and which means you're going to see your crew less. And when that happens, you're trying to just think a little bit further ahead than you would at a race where you're going to have more pit stops in it. But hopefully we have our car closed after practice, and we can fine tune Saturday night.
Well, lastly, Chase, Bristol always has some dramatic moments. Kind of take us through one of your dramatic moments there, whether it was at the end of the race, in the middle of the race. Kind of take us play by play what you were thinking and what happened.
Oh, man. I feel like I've had a few. Honestly, the coolest thing that's ever happened up there for me was the All-Star race. That was it was the first time the All-Star race, I think, had been somewhere other than Charlotte in many years. So it was really neat for us to kind of take that event somewhere else. Had a good night, ended up, racing Kyle Busch for the win, there at the end. And Kyle's, for a long time, he was the king of Bristol, just a lot of wins and, seemed unbeatable there for a while. And we just got it right that night. And, everything kind of went our way, and kind of got to battle with him in the closing laps. But just really, really cool to get a win under the lights at Bristol, whether it's a points race or not. And that was, one that I'll certainly always remember.
Well, Chase, we appreciate you hopping on. Good luck this weekend at Bristol. We'll be rooting for you.
No doubt.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Of course, that's Chase Elliott. He drives the number 9 car for Chevrolet, and the NASCAR race this weekend is the Bristol Motor Speedway. It's a night game. Should be a fun game. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Listen up, Nashville. Dollar Shave Club just sharpened their shaving blades and juiced up their lube strip, all while keeping the price tag the same. To celebrate the best razor ever, they're hitting the road, and they are looking for the best at some parlay games in each city along the way. They will be at Bridgestone Arena Pavilion from 1 to 8 p.m. this Saturday. So make sure you show up 1 to 8. And yes, you'll find me there from 2 to 4. So come check out the Hitman. And let's see if you got what it takes to beat me in some cornhole, toss, kick competition. Top scorer doing DSC time in Nashville scores 2 tickets to the Predators home open. So don't be dull with a dull blade. Show up and show out. Bring the family and test your skills with some of these fun games with Dollar Shave Club Way. Yes, cornhole, target toss, and soccer darts. I'm the best, so come on out. Attendance is completely free. Come check them out. Be there, be square. DSC2025tour.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door, 615-737-1045. We continue our Cover 2 for you because, we're very wordy people. So when we get a good question, we're going to give you good, thorough answers. So we're a little bit behind on that. And of course, hopefully, maybe, fingers crossed, at 225, Cam Ward will be up at the podium. All right.
We got to have bets on it. Do you think they're going to be on at 225?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
And I'm going to say yes.
Oh, look at you. Maybe this will be the one time.
I just didn't want to go all three of us saying no. To be honest.
Ross, we're ready.
All right. One of our favorite Titan fans, Scoob, Titan superfan, asks,
Scoob.
do you expect rookies Elliott, Chim DK, and Gunnar Helm to get more playing time this Sunday?
So just so you know, Blaine, as far as offensive snaps is concerned, Gunnar Helm played 23 of a possible 57.
Oh, what's the percentage?
So that'd be 40.4.
Oh,
Chimere DK was 17.5, and was Elliott the other one?
yeah.
Elliott played 78 you might as well just call it 79% of the snaps. So, I think that's about right for Elliott.
Yeah, I did.
It's 45 out of a possible 57. So I wouldn't expect him to ever play a full 57. I don't think wide receivers, even Calvin Ridley took 3 plays off. Not in a negative connotation. Lockett played 33, and that was really odd. Yeah. Because it felt like Chimere DK was at least the passing target, but he only played 10 offensive snaps, Chimere DK did, which does not compute in my head. But that's according to ProFootballReference.com. But that is still kind of crazy. I would say that you would likely see, out of all of these guys, Chimere DK's snap count maybe change in a positive manner. I would think that Gunnar Helm, that's probably about right for a tight end too, 40% of snaps.
Right.
And I know
with him and Chig split, depending on how much they do 2 tight ends.
Right, because they don't do a lot of those. So that
depend on game plan.
Yeah, I think it was like 78% over the weekend, 11 personnel, which is 1 running back, 1 tight end to make the 11, and then 3 wide receivers. So to answer that question, I think I would just say maybe Chimere DK is the one that you see a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
All right, we had a man, 80s will never die in TN, who asked about like 5 questions, but I'll go with this one that I thought was pretty good. TBH, the play calling makes me very curious how much influence/control Bill Callahan has over the offense. It certainly seems like the play calling of a 70-year-old and less than that of a 40-year-old. And he says, I've also noticed Bill has a call sheet each week and marks things after every play, which is something I've never seen from an offensive line coach.
Here that he can remember. So he did specify here he's never seen an offensive line coach do that. Well, I do know this, because we've heard Brian Callahan talk about it. Bill Callahan is the run game coordinator, and the run plays are mainly his wheelhouse. So I'm sure that he has a play sheet and is making notes about run fits and run games, and probably is also taking notes on his offensive line players and pass blocking as well.
As well as what worked and what didn't.
Yeah, right. As far as how much influence and control, I would say just his main influence and control is going to be on the run game, but I don't know if that's really control. But that's kind of what you want your offensive line coach to be doing, to be focusing in on the run game and all that stuff, more than likely, I would assume. Because there are run game coordinators, pass game coordinators that aren't coordinators, right?
Mm-hmm. I just wonder how that communication is. I'm fine with what he's doing, and that's decisions done throughout the week, and they know the runs. But is Bill calling the plays, the O-line coach calling the actual run that they are running?
Well, I would assume, this is an assumption.
At the point in the time, I don't know. That's why I said I don't know.
This would be my assumption, is that veto power obviously falls to Bill Callahan. It's like, okay, what's this? We want to do a run here. What's the suggestion? Here's the play. Here's a few plays, or maybe here's a play. Mm-hmm. And then Brian Callahan decides, okay, do we have a different play? What did we see from that play? It's obviously a quick 15 seconds because you got to get the play in, and all that. But I would assume that is the situation in this scenario. But that is not from me knowing anything about it. That just seems like, how I would do it. But I don't know if that's how they would do it, because they don't do a lot of stuff the way I would do
it. I feel like he is.
That's a good question, though,
because they keep putting the cameras on him. And they did this last year onto O-line coach, the dad, And it felt like he was calling plays.
Yeah.
Like he was calling at least the run plays.
Yeah.
Because he would always be talking to the mic when the offense was
I'm
out there.
sure there's constant communication between those two for that particular reason.
Maybe too much.
Next question. It could be true. Oh, you want to go? We go to the phone. Well, let's go to Billy real quick. Billy, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? Hey, Blaine, I got a question for you, man, since you're the defensive player. When on defense, the biggest year that the Titans had on offense was when, Tannehill is when they installed, like the bootleg. They scored a lot of points. This guy was a wide receiver / quarterback, and with that bootleg, they were managed to score a lot of points and throw for a lot of yards, and it was exciting. And for a defensive player, is it harder to stop a bootleg installment? Because I wondered when I watched this game, and I've watched this game 3 times. When I watched this game, I'm thinking if they would have ever had some bootlegs to help Ward, because we all know Cam Ward. I'm pretty sure that man can throw on the run, throw doing the moonwalk, whatever. But I would get him out in space on a rollout. I just don't understand.
Well, they did do the boot a couple times. I remember one time, he was trying to throw back.
Mm-hmm. Remember wasn't the missed touchdown to Van?
Yeah, they ran the boot a few times, sometimes even opposite of his arm.
But you're asking if the question is harder on the defense to defend a bootleg?
Yeah. Is it harder for a defensive guy to key in on bootleg keeps and things of that nature other than just straight handoffs, or the 5-step drop backs?
Okay, cool. We appreciate it, Billy. It's a good question.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. I would say most linebackers probably would say, the boot gets them because they're playing overly aggressive. But there are keys and reads that they do in boots that makes it really easy to see.
Well, those boots and rollouts, at least for Denver, remember, that's two of Femi's pressures came off of that
nobody blocked
situation.
it, right? They thought he was going to run down the line because they saw that in the Falcons game, how he was running down the line. So they said, we can run a boot on him.
I love it.
See, that's why they play. That's what they're going to do. So the boot is really you're reading the guard tackle. If they go lateral, you got to see this immediately when you're a linebacker that it's not a run play because one of them become blocked because they're untouched.
Yeah.
So then you feel it immediately and you go, and then you look back. Some guys just don't want to believe what they see on those boots, especially if you right there directly where they're faking. And those are the keys to it. And it's really the tackle. He tells you. Every team is a little bit different, but just in general, that side tackle where you're faking tells you based off of his release. Details. Release, did he go forward? Did he go out? Did he go lateral?
Yeah.
Easy.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Next question.
Another Bill Callahan question. The red herring said, Bill Callahan had all offseason to tweak and make those minor adjustments to Dan Moore's technique, and he is already looking like one of the worst free agency acquisitions. Was the coaching resume overhyped?
I think.
I never thought about that. Oh, my God.
I think there's a couple different ways you could take this question. I'm going to go this way. I do think that Bill Callahan over his career has shown that he does much better with first-round offensive linemen than your 4th and 5th round offensive linemen, 6th, 7th, undrafted free agents offensive linemen. And I would say that Dan Moore probably resorted to what feels comfortable when he was under fire from a Gatling gun of like Nick Bonito. I think when bullets start flying, you kind of resort to what is comfortable. And I would say that the technique you saw was what comfortable to him.
Well, probably Ramon would know more than anybody at the station. But whenever you're trying to change technically what you're doing, it's really tough to, do it live and in action when you're in that first game to believe that it'll work if it doesn't work the first time. So then you're going to start playing in between of what you used to do, and then are you trying to do with the new things that your coach taught you? And if it's not working in live action, because this was the first regular season game, sometimes you resort back to what you were, or you're somewhere in between, and that's never a good spot. So be either what you used to be or play and believe in what he taught you that's new.
That is right.
That's tough, though.
One last question before we go to break.
I think this was for you, Zach, maybe. I'm not sure. Trey asked, what would you rather smoke? Picana.
What are you talking about? Smoking what?
Yeah,
What are we talking about here?
Smoking meat. This is meat. Picana. It's a cut of beef.
Okay. I didn't know. I was making because somebody turned on the radio
He
and said,
probably
what did
should
you
have read.
smoke?
Yeah, he probably should have read the second meat first.
What are you doing wrong?
So disregard that.
Yeah.
Picana or a nice classic pork butt?
Pork butt.
I'm
the only one that didn't know that meat slice what it was.
I'm a nice classic pork butt guy because you can get more out of it. But picana is good, but I prefer tri-tip to picana.
Does pork butt have more fat?
Well, basically, probably not actually, because there's a nice big thick fat cap on top of the picana. But it's beef, and I do like beef more. But you're gonna get more use out of the pork butt. You can do. It's a lot more forgiving too. You can't hardly overcook a pork butt. You can overcook a picana.
Well, why is that? Do you know?
Well, just the beef and pork. That's just really pork's always a little bit more forgiving,
in depth,
and everything like that. So, and it takes on. It's a lot more forgiving because you can make pork nachos. You can make pork tacos, carnitas, pulled pork sandwiches.
You want some pork right now?
I'm telling you, it's good. I'm making Mongolian beef for the first time later today. So
Mongolian beef,
homemade
that's my son's
Mongolian
favorite.
beef. So we're gonna see how that goes today. All right, when we come back, we'll hopefully hear from Cam Ward. If not, we'll continue answering your questions. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Listen up, Nashville. Dollar Shave Club just sharpened their blades and juiced up their lube stripe, all while keeping the price tag the same. To celebrate their best razor ever, they're hitting the road and they are looking for the best at some parlor games in each city along the way. They'll be at Bridgestone Arena Pavilion from 1 to 8 p.m. this Saturday. And you can find me, of course, there. Yeah, me, Blaine Bishop, there from 2 to 4 this Saturday. And let's see if you got what it takes to beat me in some toss, kick, or throw competition. Top scorer during DSC time in Nashville scores 2 tickets to the Predators home opener. And don't be dull, be with a dull blade. Show up and show out. So bring the family to test your skills in a series of games done with Dollar Shave Club way, including cornhole, football target toss, and soccer darts. And you know I'm the king of that and more. And all you have to do is just go to DSC2025tour.com. That's DSC2025tour.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store. 615-737-1045 is the number. We just wrapped up our first edition of Cover 2 for you, but we'll still take your phone calls as we await QB1 Cam Ward to get to the podium. And, of course, he's not there on time. They did this time. They put approximately 2:25 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Oh, approximately.
Approximately.
Oh, so they gave themselves an out.
Yeah. So we'll see.
27.
Okay. So I have a question for you because
Lost.
Towards the end of the show, we were talking. I was bringing up pressure rates and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And there's this guy who is all up in my butt, Nick Ewing on the F&M Bank chat. He hates when I bring up pressure rates and sack rates because he says, well, pressure rates, it still means that a quarterback could have got the pass off, so what good are they? Well, I look at it this way. You can't have a sack without first getting a pressure. Right. So the higher your pressure rate is, the likely, most cases, the higher the sack rate is throughout time. And so I wanted to ask a question because to you as a defender, and from the defender's perspective, when we as a media, because every staff site, I guess to say, every nerd decides that has some different way they define a presser. Next Gen Stats' way of defining a pressure is different than the way the PFF does and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it sucked. So NGF is very specific. They said if you're within 1.5 yards of the quarterback, which is 4.5 feet, at any point while the quarterback has the ball, you have a pressure. If you are within, if you were within 4.5 feet of, no, what did I just say? Okay, I think I just got that back. If you were within 6 feet. Oh crap!
6
Where's my notes here? This is why I wrote it down. I don't know why I didn't.
Well, I'm
have
gonna
this
say
ready.
this: if you can touch them with your arm length, that's pressure.
Okay, so 4.5 feet at any point.
That's my pressure.
Yeah.
That's
so
my
4.5 feet at any point, you get a pressure. 6 feet at the time of throw, that's a pressure. So that's 1.5 yards and 2 yards. How they define it. Now, PFF defines it totally differently because I don't know how they define it. Because PFF has not told us how they define it, and that's a big beef with PFF. They never tell you really what they're doing for the most part. And so, because like...
Smart on their part.
Yeah. Femi Oladejo has one pressure according to Next Gen Stats because he falls in that category, whereas he has two pressures with PFF, for instance. So my question to you, though, to get to the overall point is when you're talking about a team or a unit, the Tennessee Titans, according to, let's go to PFF, has 14 pressures. But Bo Nix was only pressured on 12 of his dropbacks, meaning that one of his dropbacks or two had multiple pressures. What is more important when we're trying to decide what's an effective defensive unit? Is it the number of dropbacks a quarterback is pressured on, or the number of pressures a defense actually has?
Are you talking about blitzing?
No, just pressures in general. Because is the better gauge of your unit the 12 dropbacks that Bo Nix saw pressure on, or the 14 pressures that your unit got regardless of the dropbacks?
Well, I would always say the one that impacts the quarterback the most, which is the pressures. To me, I would feel like that's why I said whenever he gets an arm reach. Let's say you get an arm reach, but the guy pushes you by, but you made the quarterback move. To me, that's pressure.
Gotcha.
Because you have affected the quarterback. Now his launch, pad is moved. And now that opens the position for another person, another player to come get him if he's pushing from another way, even though he wasn't even in the picture as far as pressure. It wasn't even part of the plan to get a sack. Yeah. So that is a pressure to me because sometimes that does lead to a sack. So that's kind of how I view it. If you're impacting the quarterback to a point where he has to move.
Yeah, see, that's how I would view it. And the problem is that we don't know what all these other guys do, these other stats and stuff. So, but if you're looking,
like Orlowski saying there was 8 drops. Like, I didn't see 8 drops.
There weren't 8 drops. And like, is he taking liberty with Gunnar Helm going out of bounds while the ball was moving and stuff? So like
complete passes,
right?
Elliott and
Well, I will say this: I think a very important stat to talk about is how many of your pressures turn into sacks. Because that is a good defining moment of can your team finish?
Absolutely.
And if you were to look at what the Tennessee Titans tell you, they'll get 1 sack for every 12 to 14 pressures. Oh. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. But then you have a team like Denver who gets they had 28 pressures and 6 sacks, so a little bit better. But the problem is with the Tennessee Titans, at least from last year to this year, was that their high in pressures in one game was 28. That was versus the New England Patriots. Other than that, take away that game, they average about 11 pressures a game. And this team, we think, is likely going to be worse than what it was last year in generating pressures. Now, we don't have, that's an assumption, but they tend to have less horses than they did last year. So if you're talking about 12 to 14 pressures for every sack, well, it's not going to be a lot of sacks when it comes down to it.
Right. Well, that's why you have to generate, pressure. And then hopefully with Snead, and then you can play more man-to-man or whoever you have out there, to be honest, at this point. Hopefully it will be Snead since he's getting paid all the big bucks. But and then you show the performance there by Simmons. And I'm expecting another big performance. I don't know if these 2 guards are going to play or not, but I'm assuming at least one's not going to play.
Right.
So just line Jeffrey Simmons up over that new guy and see what happens.
Right.
Because that's what they did with Benito and moved him over there by Udo, and he just ran right around him. I'm like, well, we need to put our best guy right in front of their backup guard and just run right around him or through him and let him feel the force of Simmons.
Yeah. And see, the reason why I bring up why pressure is so important, because not only because they lead to sacks, they tend to lead to mistakes by the quarterback, right? Because they make turnovers. Because if you really look at it's the most stable defensive stat because they do. Pressure means you have a lower quarterback rating, a lower passer rating, more penchant for turnovers, less touchdowns. Right. All that stuff is affected by pressure.
Did that lead to some of the interceptions?
Exactly. We're talking about 3 turnovers from pressure generated, and sure, you didn't get a sack, but you still got a turnover. So we're talking about 1 sack and 3 turnovers generated off, when you're talking about maybe 12 to 14 pressures, that's pretty good combined, but turnovers aren't that stable either. But the more chances at getting a sack, the better. That's why pressures matter. I was just very surprised that this Nick guy is just so against this stat like it's so meaningless.
Oh, no, the pressures definitely. They matter. It's sometimes more impactful than an actual sack. I know that sounds weird, but if you're constantly giving pressure, even though you're not taking him down and get a sack, that's nerving for the quarterback.
Yeah.
He is very uncomfortable, and that's where you want to get him.
Yeah, because right now the Tennessee Titans rank around 26 in pressure rate from yesterday, from Sunday's game. 16th in blitz rate, so 21.4% time they blitzed, which is a little bit higher than what they were last year. They were having around 19 for the season last year. Man. Just a little bit higher, but not much higher.
I don't feel like they blitzed a lot,
well,
do you?
I was going back. It didn't feel like that, but I know that there were some plays where they blitzed. They sent 5.
So you didn't watch it 5 times?
No, I didn't. But I went back and was trying to find the clip of Brian Callahan talking about how they're a blitz-heavy defense from over the summer. And I'm like, well, they weren't a blitz-heavy defense last year. And I stumbled upon one from Denard Wilson in the middle of the season last year where he says, well, I don't think you guys realize how much we actually blitz. Well, he includes run blitzing in that.
Oh, yeah. They do have run blitzing.
Yeah, they do a lot of run blitzing, but I just thought that was interesting that they keep saying they're a blitz-heavy team. Well, now I'm anxious to go back and see, well, how much of that blitz heaviness is considered being carried by the run blitzes? 26 in pressure rate, 26 in sack rate, and 23rd in pressure to sack ratio. So 12 to 1 is where I kind of put it at.
Yeah.
So that makes you wonder,
is this sustainable?
Is this sustainable?
Just that. They need more.
Yeah. You got to get the pressures. And so they got to increase their pressure rate week to week. And when you have a team like, look, they took advantage of a bad offensive line last year, New England, right? New England had one of the worst offensive lines kind of with you, with the Tennessee Titans, and you took advantage of that as your highest by far. 28 pressures that game. And by the way, 28 pressures, the next highest was 17. So that you had 11 more pressures than your second highest total in that one game. So when you have LA coming to town where you know they haven't been ruled out yet, but they are week to week, your 2 starting guards, which means they'll likely not play this week because this is the first week to do it. And you got Jeffrey Simmons playing as good as he's ever looked. We've talked about consistency with Jeffrey Simmons. This seems like a no-brainer for a big Jeffrey Simmons game.
Yeah. Somebody needs to just tell him play with controlled rage.
Yeah.
Because he can't be getting no penalties, man. That is unexcusable.
Yep.
I'd say, too, for the pressure in this week's game, it's almost paramount because, and this is no disrespect to Denver, but we're not going against Bo Nix throwing to Cortland Sutton and Marvin Mims. We're going to a future Hall of Famer throwing to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, which are not good matchups for us on the perimeter. They've got to create some havoc in the pocket.
Yeah, I would say, Devontae Adams, I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame, too. Yeah.
Well, if we,
Okay, does he have enough left? What was his receptions in the last game? I don't recall him having too many. 2?
You talking about Devontae Adams?
Yeah,
I think he had 3 for 30 or so. It wasn't a crazy stat line.
4 for 51.
Oh,
Yeah.
12.8 yards per reception. I don't know how many targets he had. Let me look at it real quick.
I'd take that. Because Nacua
He was 4 for 8. So he had 8 targets, but he's 4 for 8.
Oh. And Puka
had
100.
Yeah, he had over 100. He was in that game 10 for 11. He had 11 targets, 10 receptions for 130 yards. He's the man. I loved Puka Nacua. I wish the Titans could have drafted him.
I wish because he was injured. He came out his senior year, right?
So he got injured at the Senior Bowl.
Oh,
and that was the big issue is that he was making plays. He got injured within like the first 5 plays of Senior Bowl with team drills or whatever, and he was making sideline catches and looking good. And we're like, yeah, this is awesome. I can't wait for Puka Nacua. And then he got injured.
Yeah. What was the injury? Do you remember the reason why I'm asking? Because he dropped all the way like to the 5th round.
Yeah, and I think
was it a major injury?
It was like just an ankle injury or hamstring injury. It was a lower leg injury.
They didn't value him like that.
No, but they should have. Oof, he was awesome.
He showed that immediately.
Yeah, immediately. Listen, fantasy football talk real quick. I drafted, because as a Senior Bowl, I drafted Puka Nacua everywhere, especially because he went to the Rams. And so I drafted him in like the 15th, 16th round of all these drafts, and everybody's like, who is Puka Nacua? Yeah. And I'm just like, well, you'll learn the name Puka Nacua. And he was awesome that year.
Yeah, he was.
Isaac Tesla should be that for me this year as well.
Tesla.
Of course, more people hopped on that train.
You putting Snead on Adams or Puka Nacua?
I think I'm putting him on Adams. I think that's what I'm doing. Let's go to Howie in Milwaukee. Howie, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, fellas. That was said perfectly, by the way. Thank you. So I have a question for Blaine. And so watching the game on Sunday, Blaine, I just thought about those great Titans teams in the early 2000s and late 90s that you were part of. And I know that they lost. We all know that they lost. But looking at the 99 Titans and the 2000 Titans, not calling them a Super Bowl team or a AFC championship team, but they had narrow wins and losses in that first week. And they had the same thing I'm seeing here. Good defense, good offensive line, well coached. To your question, my question to you is, do you see some of that in this team that could become something actually good, or am I just being stupid? So I want to ask. Appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Howie.
Well, if it is, this is at the early stage. Comparing this team to those 99, 2000, we had veterans, we had good young players, elite young players at the time with Javon Curse, Samari Rowe kind of leading the front of that. So it's just kind of hard to say. It's hard to really see. I think they're on the right track. They got some good young players. That's why I went with the positives on Monday initially. But I can't quite see that quite yet. They got the quarterback. So start with the players first, and we'll see if the players mature and the coaches help make them make plays.
I think we're going to break. Even though Cam Ward is up at the podium, we're having to go to break. They knew that we were going to break.
We'll play him during the break for the viewers.
We'll play him during the break for the viewers, but we have to go, for the listeners, we have to go to break. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone.
And any thoughts in particular, what you like and what you want to work on heading into week 2 here?
I would say it's a lot of stuff I want back, just from my position. But that's going to be with every game. I always want plays back. But I'll say the biggest thing that I learned from in that game is you always in it, no matter it's first quarter to fourth quarter. You always got a chance to win a game. We didn't offensively, we didn't come through with that, and then also just recognizing the coverages, but also just trusting to throw blind sometimes. Just feel people lift out of space and just got to replace it with your receivers.
Even his about moving on like on a Monday. Is that easier to do after a win or after a loss? How are you about moving on, putting the previous game behind you? And is that easier to do after a win or a loss?
Thousands from an independent agent who was overcharging for years. And you can make the switch and save the same just like he did. But you can. But you have to make the switch on your own decision for his business, family, or as an individual. Make the switch. I'm telling you to the King & Associates Insurance. And I'm sure you can do with the extra moolah that you'll have in your pocket that you'll save. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 615-321-8121. That's 321-8121 or tkinginsurance.com.
Just getting extra reps, like we always been doing. It's going to be times where I'm not on my A game. I wasn't on my A game Sunday. It's a lot of stuff that I wish I could have had back from just my position, just getting in and out of the huddle faster, getting the play call faster, and not messing up some of the inmates that we had. And so it's just really us just staying on top of the page, staying in the playbook. Things can change every week depending on who we play, and it really just comes down to us locking in on Sundays every play, not just one play at a time.
And with the timing on some of those seam routes where they're like real quick throws, and what can you guys do to just get on a better page to where those are completions?
I just think we got to be more just in sync with each other. And then that was their first game with me. That was my first game with those guys. So just us, continuously getting reps. Because a lot of these plays out here, we don't get a chance to rep them the same amount as we did during training camp and OTA, just because they're game-specific plays. So just continue to build with each other. This week we're gonna hit on those plays.
When you look back at the sacks, did you see realistic chances for you to get rid of the ball, either to maybe get a play or to get it out of bounds? Or were you in some situations where you just had to eat it and move on?
I think it was more of me just not getting the ball out in a stance of, especially the back-to-back sacks. At that point, we in field goal range, just throw the ball over the receiver head out of bounds if you feel it. So that's just stuff that I got to get better at week by week. And then at the end of the day, nobody gonna be perfect. I want y'all to get up there and try to block one of them big boys on the D-line. It ain't that easy. So me and the O-line, we good. I had some bad pocket movement as well. So I take full, just responsibility on my part. They'll do the same as well. And then this is their first game, with me in a live set and not me getting taken out, for a preseason game. So we still getting used to each other. But we gonna turn around fast and try to get a win this week.
Callahan praised your overall command of the offense on Sunday, specifically your demeanor and not getting rattled in tough situations. Now that you've had time to look at the tape, you've had the first game under your belt, where would you say your overall confidence is when it comes to taking command of this offense?
I think it's at a high, especially from this week to last week. Just communication-wise, we're getting better every day. That's with the coaching staff, that's with the players. I think it just all comes down to us just wanting it, and we got to want it more for ourselves, not for anybody else. I think the more that we continue to gain that trust on and off the field, it's gonna come up with some wins.
Some of the veteran guys were talking about the self-inflicted wounds and penalties that were issues last year, repeating themselves in week 1. How do you view your role in making sure those things don't continue?
Getting in and out of the huddle faster, snapping the ball on time. And then there's also a tempo that you have to play with offensively. We didn't establish that on Sunday, and so that's something that we're looking to establish this week.
What do you think of the Rams pass rush? Cam certainly did some damage late last year and got off to a pretty good start. What do you see when you see them on tape?
That's a real group of rushers right there. They're powerful, they're athletic. They can move the pocket, whether it's me having to step up or me having to get out front or back side. So, they're a talented group up there. Our O-line, they're ready for the challenge. I got everything, in faith in our O-line. I'm pretty sure they're going to have themselves a big day.
Sunday after the game, you talked about this offense can be explosive and that there were opportunities. When you went back and looked at the film, what were some of the things that you feel like needed to be cleaned up in order to make those explosives happen?
I would say getting the ball out, winning the top of the routes, and then also just finding a rhythm. I just think the whole game we never found a rhythm. Really, we only needed one play on offense to get that, and we didn't do it enough. And so, it all comes down to, myself and the receivers. We got to make plays in the passing game. I think we had a great job. We did a great job running the ball on Sunday. TP did his thing. But we just got to continue to play complementary football to the defense.
In your experience, what does it take to find that rhythm earlier and more consistently?
It really just takes effort and playing fast. Those are really the two biggest things. Everywhere I've been, we've always played fast. We always played with effort, and that took care of a lot of stuff.
And what are the emotions of having your first NFL touchdown potentially in front of Titans fans at Nissan Stadium?
I really have no emotion for it. I just want the football. Other than that, I really don't want the other ones. But, I'm excited. I threw a lot of touchdowns before. I know I'm going to throw a lot of touchdowns in the NFL. But, if the first one comes in Nissan, that'd be one I'm ready for.
You talked about the command and the communication and how that is still going on. From an operational standpoint, Brian Callahan earlier was very confident in your ability to command the offense and say how you've earned that right to do so. In the game on Sunday, was there any specific moments where you feel like you could have done something over and done something better, and is that just a learning opportunity for you?
I think it's both. Every game, learning opportunity. I think it's just we didn't find a rhythm within the game, and that led to us just being inconsistent. Penalties didn't help us, on both sides of the ball. So I think the biggest thing, if we limit the penalties, we'll be able to have some of those plays back.
Callahan had mentioned you having the freedom to check, but he said that, there's a balance between checking to get out of a bad situation and checking to create a big play. For you, how do you create that balance and make sure that you're doing the right thing, what your coach wants you to do?
Just continue to see it the way Coach Callahan sees it, why he's calling a certain play, then also why I'm checking the play, whether if it's a look that I like, that I've seen on tape all week, I want to get to a specific run concept or pass concept. So that's just me and him really just getting to it with each other. Like, this is first time with me, a quarterback who likes to check plays. And really, it just comes down to I need to learn more just why he's calling a specific play on this down, and then whether to just freelance it and trying to get to my own play.
How do guys who drop the ball react to you? And is it important that there's some communication about drops?
We communicate about drops, about incomplete balls, everything. I'm not going to never get on them guys for dropping the ball. I'm going to throw a pick at some point in the season, so bad plays are going to happen. The biggest thing is that we got to get back to the huddle. We got to always have a next play mentality. And so, I'm not really too worried about that. The boys going to catch the ball. So I don't believe none of that crazy stuff. I know what type of receivers I got. They know who they are in this locker room. So, we gonna turn things around. But we just got to continue to keep working.
When a guy does drop one, though, do you try to make it a point to come back to him as soon as possible, give him another chance to get that out of his head?
I wouldn't say as soon as possible. It really just depends on the play call. If that guy's the first read and he's open the next play, I'm going to throw him the ball again. So them boys know I got faith in them like they supposed to have faith in me. And so we're going to get on the same page. And I'm not really too worried about it. We talking about week one. I see them boys catch 1,000 balls out here. They always on the judge. So, they put the work in. They time coming for sure.
Your dad got a lot of airtime on Sunday. Did you see that or hear about it the next day and give me grief about it? And what's he like kind of living and dying through you and your achievements?
He ain't living and dying through me. He's accomplished a lot in his life. He just want to see his son play football. So the biggest thing is that he just want to see us win football games. He's not really too worried about nothing else. He just coming to watch Titans play football.
That was your Titans quarterback one, Cam Ward, up at the podium. And let me tell you something. I know we've talked about Cam Ward's maturity, but every time he speaks, I am blown away that this guy is a rookie.
I get chill bumps. I was like, oh, we got us one.
You weren't in here for the one part
in the beginning,
but in the beginning, but he was asked about you taking the 2 sacks and taking the sacks. Do you feel like you could have done something differently? He took ownership and accountability. He said, "Hey, I probably could have got the ball out quicker. I got to maybe realize I need to let the ball go, throw the ball over the receiver's head out of bounds." But let me tell you something. You guys try to go out here and play offensive line against these defensive lines. He goes, it ain't easy, and he goes, and I got to make it a little bit easier on them. And he talked about how he sometimes needs to probably stay in the pocket or got a little antsy. Like the accountability and the way that he sticks up for his teammates and also acts like a drop's not a big deal. I'm going to be throwing an interception. Why am I going to get all mad at a drop every time? It is very refreshing and unique to hear that from your quarterback in this market
as well. I mean, that's exactly how athletes and leaders think and talk. It's like, what I'm going to do, get pissed off at him? I'm going to come back to him.
Yeah.
That's like getting pissed off at your kicker. He misses one. Guess what? Who you got on the bench?
Yeah.
You better come and pat that and say, hey, we'll get him the next time. So that's, man, he gives me chill bumps. I'm just glad we got us one here. He showed definitely enough ability, and the sky's the limit. He can only get better from this point on. He went against a really good defense, so he showed well.
And then he's going to go up against another one, and okay, the schedule gets easier as the year goes on, and which means that he probably got the toughest lumps out of the way, the biggest learning lessons out of the way for the most part. That's really good for his trajectory and growth. And again, I go back to, I just don't think you can rattle this guy to the point where you need to be afraid that the Titans will, quote unquote, ruin him. He doesn't seem like a quarterback that could be ruined.
Oh, no. The only way he could get ruined now is if they don't protect him.
Yeah.
That's the only thing right here. So that's why I'm so concerned about the Latham. I keep bringing up Latham.
I know.
Because I don't want him to get unnecessary hit. They got to have a plan. If they go watch this tape, they're going to be like, hey, man, the Rams' best pass rusher going to be like, hey, man, I'm going to have a field day. And that's what they thinking. So I don't know what the plan will be or how much confidence they have in him. And let alone, Moore Jr. was somewhat of an issue as well.
Yep.
So now we're talking about 2 issues. Oh, does that remind you of something? Last year.
Yeah.
Right. It becomes an issue. And then now with his quick release, he can, kind of cover for certain things. But there's going to be times he's not. So I just don't want him to get, the ruined part to me is if they don't protect him and he keeps getting hit.
Yep.
Over and over. I didn't feel like this game, I know it was 6 sacks, but I didn't feel like he got hit like, oh man, he was taking too many shots.
It didn't really feel like it, but I just looked it up. He had 8 quarterback hits, which doesn't even seem to register with me.
It's the way he gets hit and goes down.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like he took any big time hits. Do you, Ross? Any big time hits?
It was nothing egregious, but like,
right? Yeah, just normal tackles,
bumps and bruises.
sacks. Yeah.
All right, that will do it for us. Tomorrow we'll go around the SEC, talk the SEC football weekend. We also, I just want to end it with this. Jesse Hernandez on Facebook says, and this is why his teammates will go to war with Ward. He is a dog, and that he is. 3HL's up next has been covered too with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime,
and in between time,
peace.